We found her wandering near our country house.
Okay.
Her owner had abandoned her,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't feeding her anymore and going out of town. So she was wandering and living on her own during the week. And fortunately, on the weekend residents would come up and feed her.
Okay.
But eventually, she was becoming feral in the sense that she was building dog dens in people's bushes,
Okay.
underneath people's balconies, and hunting and fending for herself. Any dog, any squirrel, any cat, she would bolt while we were on the end of the leash.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, I was falling. She would be pulling me on the grass. It was becoming dangerous. I was injured a few times. Right. And we were screaming at her, pulling on the leash, causing damage to her neck from all the pulling,
right, sure.
trying to make her heal. And most of the time, at least by every second block, she was on her hind legs lunging, and I'd have to walk her.
So you'd be walking her, she'd be walking on two legs?
On two legs. I'd be holding her by the neck, and she'd be lunging.
So you're walking, literally you're walking a beast at this point.
A beast. And I was, at that time, we got into basic training with a school called Positive K9. And I explained the situation to the teacher. As soon as we walked into that room with all the dogs, all the nice, calm dogs, she had no rules, boundaries, any type of regulations. I mean, she was a free animal. So she bolted and lunged at all the dogs. She was howling and barking. So they put a board, and they kept her back behind the board, and they had us, they told us to have her watch the class.
Right.
Which then, being in that situation, being held back from dogs, it made her more and more aggressive.
Yeah, it will, because anytime you're restraining a dog, instead of teaching it to control itself through proper training, and you're just using physical restraint, it builds frustration in the dog. Yeah. And then the frustration, it's like pouring gasoline onto a fire, which obviously that's what you saw. Yeah. So
we took her, after about the third lesson, every time we went there, it became worse and worse, so we decided to quit going to that place with all these dogs.
We were so stressed during the class, and the fact that the teacher kept her separated from the other dogs escalated her aggression.
Okay, so after 3 lessons you didn't see any improvement?
No improvement.
Okay, fair enough.
And the teacher did tell me, she said, your dog is feral, which she really wasn't. She got along with people. She was very nice in the home. She just needed training and obedience. She said, your dog is feral. It's unfortunate that you got yourself in this situation, which made me feel really bad.
Right.
And she suggested that I walk the dog early in the morning before 7 and after 11 o'clock at night.
So the solution was avoid the problem.
Avoid the problem, avoid other dogs, and as soon as she sees a dog, to cross the street. And I said, what do I do about squirrels and skunks and all other critters? Right. She said, just avoid them across the street.
We called you because Sheree was almost wrestling on the ground in the park because Kaylee was going nuts. And some gentleman came up to us and said, you got to call this guy Nick.
Well, he didn't exactly come up to me. He pulled me up from the grass. Okay.
He helped you up.
He helped me up because a lot of people, well, first of all, when people would see me with Kaylee, they'd cross the street.
Okay.
And they'd run away. But this man, who has a dog that you trained a number of years ago, had the courage to walk up to me, put the dog in place in a sitting position very easily, and lifted me off the ground and said to me, you have to call Nick.
So he was like your knight in shining armor.
I
He
said,
showed up.
Who's Nick? He said, okay, Nick from K9.
Right.
And then I went to the gym the next day, and I mentioned that this happened, and then I met another woman who said, oh, I trained my dog with Nick, you have to call Nick, and I did right away.
Okay.
And I called several other trainers,
okay,
and I interviewed them, and they told me that, we'll see how it goes, it might take 6 months, a year, 2 years. I have a nice dog, maybe we can integrate the 2 dogs together. And I said, my dog will attack your dog, and there's no solution, but you told me the dog needs obedience.
Right.
And with 6 lessons, guaranteed, the dog will be trained.
Because of her life.
Eat the squirrels, attack them and eat them.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a 5-foot fence that she can jump over easily. She's done that when we first got her here.
Doesn't do it anymore.
So here's the dog who's aggressive. When we put her on a training program that incorporated the use of an electric collar, and now she's not aggressive. People have to understand that you're not using the collar in a painful manner to train your dog.
No,
You're using it.
instead of lugging on a leash
Right.
at the end of the leash with those, we had the halty collars where it spins her neck around and all that. It was just a disaster. Like I was saying, instead of having a dog lunge and pull you and do all that, it was night and day just after the first lesson
First
or two.
lesson,
First
she was
lesson,
healing.
she was healing, she was walking
amazing.
without pulling. So when you're talking, you know, what's worse, a bit of distraction and tap versus
Right.
lunging and screaming and yelling and, you know, I'm aggressive, everyone's becoming aggressive. Now I'm walking, you know, it's after the first week, it was nice and calm and, oh, she's out of line, boom, she's
Right.
back in line.
It came a point from her lunging that her neck was becoming sore and she was starting to cough.
Right.
And
From all the straining.
all
That's
the
right,
training.
that's right.
And when we used to walk her and we bring her in the house, she'd go to another room. She didn't want to even sit with us. As soon as we started training her, and we became her leader, and she had a guideline to follow with rules and regulations and boundaries. She within 1 week became calm, and we all really bonded because we were able to formulate a system to follow.
I see it now, yeah.
And the collar is the most gentle way to train. There's no screaming, yelling, no aggression. It's a slight tap.
Right.
The dog responds in a very happy way.
Right.
It's excellent.
Well, good stuff.
And after this, in the future, I would probably adopt a dog with problems. And I'd call you and we'd
Right.
do it all over again.